Secretary of Homeland Security, Alexander Mayorkas, or the president can just, on their own, provide Secret Service protection. There has to be, they just decide. They just do it. Just do it. The quest for power and the request to remain in power causes so much corruption. And it's sometimes so petty and nasty. And this is a nasty corruption story where Joe Biden's Department of Homeland Security, where the Secret Service resides, is denying requested Secret Service protection to RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And we had uncovered that they had denied them had denied him protection despite known threats to him. And of course, he's a Kennedy. I'm not saying vote for him because he's a Kennedy or give him special treatment because he's a Kennedy if you're a voter, but from the public interest, I mean, his father and his uncle were murdered, assassinated. I mean, why wouldn't you just give him the darn Secret Service protection? I mean, he's obviously going to be a magnet for crazies. It's so outrageous. It really is. So we got these initial documents showing skullduggery by the Secret Service and keeping the protection away from him. So we filed up with a federal lawsuit, and it covered more documents, 63 pages of documents, that are, again, devastating. Now, the Secret Service would like you all to believe they've got this process in place. Well, these documents belie that because they show and confirm what everyone suspected or generally knew, that the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alexander Mayorkas, or the president can just, on their own, provide Secret Service protection. There has to be, they just decide. They just do it. Just do it. Because this is, we had this document, part of what we uncovered was this document that showed Campaign 2024, candidate protection, who receives protection? And they go through and describe how this process goes. Secret Service does not determine who qualifies for protection, nor is the Secret Service empowered to independently initiate candidate protection. And there's this board that they're supposed to or can consult, consisting of the leaders of Congress. And the documents show that they were passed information along. It looks like Mitch McConnell, who's on this board, expressed some interest in having some protection from Mr. Kennedy. And they go through all these questions. But the document also confirms, as I said, the secretary can just designate the protection, and the president can. And what's really devastating is the document highlights that it happened, they set up these rules and changed the law to provide protection. I got to get a little closer because I don't see it on my document. Oh, what is the history of candidate and nominee protection? Major candidates and their spouses began receiving protection after the assassination of Robert Kennedy in 1968. And you can see above, the U.S. Secret Service is also authorized to protect spouses of major presidential, vice presidential candidates within 120 days of the general presidential election. Some candidates have received protection earlier in the campaign pursuant to presidential memoranda. Heck, candidates for the presidency, because it used to be just the president, are given protection because Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s father was assassinated. He's running for president and they don't want to provide him protection? How is that anything but malicious, dangerous, and vindictive? What is the Biden gang thinking? Are they that petty? Because I don't know, Kennedy's running for office. He may hurt Trump. He may hurt Biden. I don't know how many votes he would take away I mean, if you asked Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I'm sure he would say he could win, right? I mean, he's running because he thinks he can win, I would presume. I think he deserves the protection. And the fact that he hasn't gotten it, and we're getting this bureaucratic runaround, and I kind of missed the headline here. What's the headline? I've been losing track of my documents here. Every time I screw something up like this, I think I'm turning into Joe Biden. I know I'm not, but you know. Ah, here's the headline. Records show Secret Service ordered staff not to respond to head of RFK's private security. So he's the head of his private security is sending the Secret Service email, and it's unclear whether he's being sent, and they don't want to respond to him. No response required, nor should it. So they told him they directed no response. And of course, they're hiding key documents. One of the things we deal with at Judicial Watch, we get a lot of information, but also a lot of information is withheld from us. And a lot of that information, the biggest loophole that I really dislike in terms of government withholdings of information that has been found to be something the government can do by the courts is what they call the B5 exception. It's the exemption under FOIA that allows the government to withhold pre-decisional material. So all the back and forth before a final decision is made. And you can imagine that's all the stuff that we would want to see. And in this case, you can see they do this analysis that they supposedly go through for protection analysis by the Secret Service. Like in this case, you see a threat assessment conducted by the Secret Service of general or specific threats directed towards the candidate. And then the white thing, the white box, is redacted, the B5. So they're hiding the threat information they have about them. And everything, other analysis they did in point by point. Whether the candidate is is an independent or third-party candidate for president, polling at 20% or more. So why is their analysis of polling information redacted? Now, it used to be all of this, those white boxes. The government's gotten a little bit better on the PR angle. They used to black it out. But that didn't look good because no one likes, everyone could see quite obviously all the redactions. Now they just use the white boxes. It makes it look softer, right? The transparency isn't as nasty without the black boxes. So we've got this outrage with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It's not because I'm saying you should vote for RFK Jr. I think RFK Jr. has been being denied Secret Service protection for political reasons. It's dangerous. It could get him killed and other innocents killed. And Biden needs to step in and do something. Based on these earlier disclosures that we were talking about this week with his failing memory and cognitive challenges, I don't know who's running the White House. I really don't. Are there adults there? They're going to say, why can't we just give them the darn protection? And I'm sure there are political hacks in the White House and in the Biden administration that they giving him political Secret Service protection would elevate his candidacy and make it seem more legit. And if that's their logic, then they should be, if they're in a position of power, they should be thrown out. It's deadly dangerous, vicious, vindictive politicians. And I tell you, Congress should be investigating this. Call in the head of the Secret Service. Call in the White House. Call in Mayorkas. Ask them why it is they're leaving Kennedy out in such a risky situation. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.